guys, I am Nu-Trix, the synth guy. Today I'm talking about a great soft synth for the iPad by the company called Sugar Bytes, and they do a synth called Unique. They actually do, I think, 3 or 4 different synthesizers. They all have their own ways of working. Unique is pretty cool, and I'll show you how it works. So basically, it's a synthesizer. It's made to mimic different type of sound, mostly vintage analog, but it also could do other things like FM and vowel sounds, so have more of a human voice into it without actually typing words, but it gets you that sound. Also, Unique runs as a audio unit plugin, so it can run within your favorite DAW like Beatmaker 3 or IQ Bassist, for example. Okay, so let's actually go in and test it out, because one of the reasons that you like or not a synthesizer is basically how it sounds and how fast you can make your own sounds. In this case, it sounds interesting. Like any synthesizer, it has its own signature and sound, and you either like it or not, but this one can do a lot of different style of sound, so it should be, you know, appealing for a lot of people. And the options of synthesis are pretty interesting. Let's look at this. So what we have in Unique is a very cool, simple layout, and I actually hooked it up for with my A01, so you can hear that sound. Listen to that sound. And just a fat sound. Let's go back to the first one here. Okay. To that movement, that's pretty nice. The whole movement of the sound is really, this is a rich, wide sound. So there's plenty of stuff that actually moves. When we play this, you see that on the detune value here, this thing is moving alone. So we can ask ourselves, how does it work? Actually, if I press on it, it will tell me that it's sent to the envelope. There's an envelope sent to this sound, or this button here. So outside of this screen that we see in front of us, which is the synthesis, when you press on controller, that's where you have access to other envelope, LFO, sequencer, and motion. And these can be assigned to any part of the synth that you see here, which is why we see the detune moving alone. It's moved by the envelope from the controller window. So this is one of the reasons that this synth is powerful, is this option of having these extra stuff here. LFO, envelope, sequencer, which you can basically draw what you want, and the motion, you can just record where you want it and it's going to move it. So that's pretty awesome. Now, okay, let's look at the synthesis itself. In the main window, you have Oscillator 1, Oscillator 2. These are the 2 oscillators you actually can use. Okay. If you want to hear them separately, you have to bring the volume of each of them down and just bring the one you want. First one, second one. Okay, let's say first one. Let's just listen. Let's open everything we have. So we'd actually just hear the sound as it is. Okay. I've got this sound here. If I switch between sawtooth, I have the sawtooth sound, which is what we expect. Then you've got the octave for it, and you have the detune for that sound. And you'll always have a big screen value, so you see really what you're doing. Now, at the bottom of that little window here of Oscillator 1, you have ADSR, which is the envelope for the volume for that oscillator. So within the oscillator window, you have its own volume envelope, okay? Amplitude envelope. If you click on sawtooth again, select the number, let's say triple saw, then you have octave, detune, and then you got spread. Now at triple saws, you have 3 sawtooth playing at the same time, and when you press here, you can detune them. Okay? Okay, then you have pulse, and the pulse you have pulse width and pulse width rate. Okay, modulation rate for that. You also have triple FM. So it's like having 3 FM operators affecting each other. You got the shape here, and you got how much they're affecting each other. So you can have that FM sound. A little noisy, and that's what you like about FM. Okay, then you have noise, and in noise you have band pass, low pass, and high pass, and you want it to track or not. So you want the key tracking for this, and you have the color of your sound. Let's see, you get through the key, and you get the resonation or not, resonator or not. Okay, so that's for the noise sound. Let's go back to sawtooth, so more of a classic sound. Now, you have this on the first one. You can select, let's say, I don't know, pulse on the second one. Bring the volume up. And we're gonna delete this, okay? So we only have this. Put it the same note. Okay, and then okay, so you've got your oscillator 1 and 2 playing at the same time. You can actually pan them left and right. You have a very white sound right away. Right, actually I changed the... This is fun. It's because they don't have the same attack. It appears on one side before it gets into the other one. Bring them to the same attack. That was pretty cool, the way it came in. Then you've got, in this section, the unique section, just under unique, you've got MIDI in, shows you what's coming in. You've got unison, and then when you use the spread, that sound also does sync. So this is really rich. It's a pretty fun way. I'm going to move this an octave lower. A pretty rich raw sound that you have here, but you get that kind of a sync sound instead of just being spread normally. Get rid of unison for now. You have the glide between the notes, and you have here oscillator 1 and 2. These options you want to turn them on is because you want to use the arpeggiator on, let's say, just oscillator 2. So you could at one point trigger the arpeggiator only oscillator 2 and not the first one. So this is where you would actually select it. Let's go back to synthesis. You've got under oscillator 1 and the MIDI section, you get the filter section where you have a drive that you can have before the cutoff point. Okay. Right now it's assigned to, it's being mixed here. There's a cutoff point here. Okay, and then you get the peak value. Resonation, drive, cutoff, and the peak. Basically, the peak is going from cutoff value to the peak, the highest possible value. Okay, and then this is where this is a little bit bizarre if you want to. You got the envelope here, going open and closing, and the sustain and the release for this filter. You can have the envelope play for each note. You can have it play only in arpeggiator mode, so it's going to follow the speed of the arpeggiator. So I'm going to close it down totally. So you hear the movement, that's coming from the arpeggiator. So the arpeggiator is triggering the envelope. You can say it's going to be for each note. It's going to be for the first note only. And then you're staying in the same. Maybe for the lowest note. I'm not in unison, that's why it's weird. Okay. Go envelope again. And you can also say, instead of envelope, I'm going to use the alto. To open up, now it's going to be sync to clock. I can say it's going to be the arpeggiator. Here, I want to also use the 4-step. When you say 4-step, you see here these choices changes. Now you have cutoff value 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's going between them. Let's say we want to use each note. So that's the tempo, glide, resonance. Now you hear it correctly. Plays the 4 of them back and forth. So now I just went. So you can create really cool stuff with that. So that's now being a 4-step. These 4 steps are over here, and each of them play the whole. Every time you play a key, it's going to play the whole thing, and this is the direction. You can change the direction. It can be random. You can say it's going to be only for the arpeggiator following. So the 4-step is following the arpeggiator. Or let's again close this and send it to, I don't know, each note. Now what else you have? You also have a mod wheel, so you can use the mod wheel to change how you're going to move between these two, the cutoff and the peak. You see the light going up and down, but at the same time I've got other stuff happening. So going between these two, okay. You can also say instead I want to use the pitch band. So on top of changing the pitch, I want to move from this value to that value. So okay, so we're also changing the way the filter works. You go back to envelope. You have all these different choices of high pass, 2-pole, which is a 12 dB per octave, band pass 2-pole, band pass 4-pole, which is a 24 dB per octave, a low pass 4-pole, and a comp filter. That's it. That's for the envelope. Sorry, that's the filter. Oh, actually, it's not it. You have the vowel. Oh, you hear it. Well, you have to play higher in pitch. So you hear this movement here. Now let's try it just to be even obvious. Now this one does not affect the two of them. Why? Okay, so this movement, you hear it. Okay, this is how you hear it. And you can click here and sign it. Or a U instead, or O. That's it. So that's for the vowel sound. Now, on top of that, you actually can load in 5 different effects: delay, reverb, filter, lo-fi, and phaser. So let's say delay, then you've got timing, you've got mix, of course, you have feedback, cutoff. So you can control that, which is pretty basic. I mean, this is what we need. reverb, phaser, lo-fi for the crushing and the sample rate, and you also have filter. If you still want to use filter, you can do that. And again, if you say, well, I would like to control this with an envelope, press on it and assign it to envelope. You go back to this window here, and this envelope is now the filter envelope. And this is the range of the movement you want to create. You don't want it to open to close, or you want it to go open but you don't want it to close. Now we're hearing something else happening at the same time. That's why we have that movement here. So, and you see the knob moving here. Okay, we had the envelope here. Okay, so that's for the filter. And then you've got the master section here where you have tremolo, rate, and fading. Tremolo if you want to have tremolo on your sound. You got a sub oscillator, don't, maximum volume, and where it is pitch-wise. And you have the master volume for everything. Then controller is where the other action here happens. So you say, well, I'd like to have this motion here, record, and I want it to control, I don't know, my drive here. Okay, the drive here. So this is going to be assigned to motion control. Look at this motion happening here, and I want to cut off to be assigned to the other one. Turn on the unison. Add some of this. Yeah, the movement is starts to be pretty fun. And now we get the movement is use this headphone for this because really you hear that movement between the ears is really interesting. And again, you say, well, the sequencer I'd like to control something else. Go back here and say, I don't know, let's use the spread then. The spread is going to be assigned to the sequencer. And maybe the detune here is going to be assigned to the LFO. And then it becomes too weird. Or you can say, well, this, to be clear, I don't want to have it, but maybe I want to assign it to learn, and then I move my knob here, and it learn from my keyboard. So I can actually use this. I'm not on the note. So you can assign it to something else. So it's easy to just press on something and say, learn, and move a knob. It's going to be assigned to this. Okay? So very quickly you can assign stuff to this. It's really rapid to assign it to what you want. So you've got this basically two windows. This one, this one. You also have a global information like a pitch bend, LFO, pitch bend here, the global, and then the settings. When you open this up, you have MIDI, cloud. You can actually sync your memory into the iCloud, which is pretty fun because it means you can actually move between, let's say, your iPad and your iPhone and load the same memory, the sound that you made. And just for fun, I'll play some of the sounds. just jumping around because there's just tons of sound. Just to give you ideas of what you can do with this. I found that this synthesizer has its own signature, like a lot of synthesizers. This one has some time because of this what's called here, this unison section here. The spread makes it sound with a lot of sync happening in it. So there's kind of that metallic sometime sound in it. So it's not, you know, it's not always metallic because you can do stuff that is more bassy or moog kind of sound-ish, but it sounds, I mean, there's a lot of movement. That's what I like about these options here. There's a lot of stuff that is happening in your sound. Sometimes too much because it's hard to figure out, okay, am I using this sequencer here, or am I using something from the controller here? Actually, there's a four step and then the sequencer, and so it might be misleading because you might not be sure where you are. But the power of all this movement, the sound, makes it sounds more organic. So there's that movement that is really interesting. And keep in mind that this can actually be loaded in, let's say, Beatmaker 3, and then you also have access to the effects inside your DAW. So you could also use it and then tweak a little bit more with the effects you have in your DAW if you like to. So that's from Sugar Bytes. It's called Unique. If you're interested, try it out. Again, I do these videos to give you ideas of how they sound and what you can do with it, so you have a better option on choosing the one that fits your way of working. Now, Sugar Bytes also have other types of synthesizers. They're aimed at different type of sound, and I'll try to make videos about them soon. That's it, guys. If you like what I'm doing, thumb up and share it with your friends, and follow me. I'm going to talk a bit more about iPad synths in the next week because there's just a ton of them to actually play with today. So that's it. Have a good day.